everyone, it's Dawn and welcome to this new video and tutorial for a Tuesday. I know it's unusual for me to upload on a Tuesday, but I'm going to show all of you paper crafters out there how you can use your watercolours to create a background for a card. Now, I did start off this project, but we had a bit of a disaster with the stencil. What I've done, I've used my leaf dies to create a stencil. All I did was I just printed them or cut them all out in random places, but I haven't been wasteful. All the bits that fell out, I've kept them and we're going to use them on the front of our card. Now this is going to be a stencil to create a background, and as you can see I've already made a bit of a start. So because I had a bit of a disaster, as I say, with the stencil, as I started to work, the stencil broke because I've already used it a couple of times. So I've taped it down with washi tape, so I'd advise you to do that straight away before you even start. And around the outside I've just done a bit of green, a Sharpie pen all the way around. You can use watercolour if you want to, but of course Sharpie dries instantly. And on my palette over here I've got some watercolours, of course, and I have got a sap green, a very mucky cadmium yellow, and a cobalt blue. And this one is just sap green on its own. This one is a combination of sap green and blue, and this one is a combination of the two, the yellow and the blue mixed. So I'm going to use different puddles of paint to create my leaves here. So the ones I haven't done. So I'm just going to leave my palette down there. Hopefully we won't have any more disasters, and we'll carry on. So we can even go over the ones we've done. All we're really doing is creating a background. Now this bit can get a bit messy, but that's all right. You're allowed to get messy when you're painting, it's good fun. So we're just going to paint our background. We don't have to be too specific or too precise. Now, normally when you do this, you would wait for the thing to dry before you take the stencil off. But because we haven't got time to wait for this to dry, because we'd run out of filming time, I'm going to either be brave or reckless, whichever's more appropriate, and take the stencil off when we're done. So we're just going to cover this really. I'm not even washing out my brush, I'm just dipping into the different puddles of paint that we've got. And I'm just covering the gaps really, I'm just painting in the gaps with the various puddles of green paint that we've got here. So we're nearly done. So there we go. I think, unless I miss bits that I can't see, oh, it might be that little bit there. Let's just do a dark hit bit down there. There we go. I think we're probably there with our watercolour. So I'm going to pop that out of the way so I don't knock it over. So I'm going to very carefully, or as carefully as I can, take all these bits of washi tape off. So bear with me, I'll be as quick as I can. And I think it's going to be all right actually. I think we might have got away with that. So we'll just take these off. I think we have got away with this, you know. So let's have a look. Despite the fact that I've wrecked my stencil, but that's all right, because you can make these stencils as often as you like. Or if you want them to, a quick tip for you, if you want to use them again, laminate them first. So there we go. Or cut them out of, what's that stuff called? Acetate. So we're going to, this is where the magic hit becomes. Now, normally, as I say, you would leave that to dry before you take it off. So as we've lifted, it has lifted the paint a bit, but I have done one in the best traditions of videos. Here's one I did earlier. So I did one last night and I've let that dry. And so if you leave it to dry first, that's what it's going to look like when you take off your stencil. So let's get rid of all these sticky bits so that we don't end up with any more disasters. So we'll do that. And what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to bring in, this is just an ordinary 5x7 card blank, which I made out of watercolour paper, 300 GSM watercolour paper. If you use a nice thick watercolour paper or cardstock, then you can get away with chucking anything at it and it won't come off. You hope. So here we go. We're going to put this, I'm going to use my glue stick, my giant glue stick, which I love using because it's so good. I'm going to put that on there. And we are going to just, first of all, stick that to there. Now put that out the way. And this is the same size as the card base, so you don't have to worry about lining it up. Just make sure it covers the front of the card. Couldn't be easier. So we're going to just give that a bit of a stick. I might have used a stronger glue, but that's going to be fine because we're going to be putting more stuff on top of it anyway. Now I've made a mat, a card making mat, which is, do you know what, I haven't even bothered to measure it. So let's have a look to see what it is. It is roughly 3 3/4 by it's 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So let me write that down and I'll add it into the description box. 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So that's our measurement for our mat. You can make yours any size you like. That size just makes sure we get a bit of the background showing. So that I don't forget it, I'm going to leave that written down, and I should add that in the description below so that you can refer back to it if you want to. And although I'm not going to keep it because I'm going to put it on there, but hopefully I'll remember it. So 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to, what I've done, I have used my Sharpie pen, the same green Sharpie pen, and I've just edged it all the way around. And it has gone over a bit, but it doesn't really matter because it's not going to show too much by the time we're done. So again, I'm going to grab my glue stick. Probably it wasn't the best way to do that, but never mind. That probably wasn't the best thing to write those measurements on, but hopefully it won't show because I've made some flowers, which is what I've used my other watercolours for. So we're going to, as if by magic, we're going to make those marks disappear in a minute. So there is our mat. Now if you use this size of mat, you will get that lovely border around your edge, so you can see bits of your watercolour border that you've made with your stencil, or however you choose to do your background. Now I have watercoloured some other bits of card. Well, I haven't used card, I've just used cartridge paper, and I've watercoloured them, let them dry, and made some flowers. But before I put the flowers on, I'm going to bring in the bits that fell out of the stencil. And again, I'm going to cover this because it'll dry clear, and it'll dry, once it's dried, it won't be sticky. So we're just going to cover this because I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. And we're going to put our foliage on here. So I'm just going to put one piece up there, and we're going to make a nice foliage base for our flowers. So this is all with the bits that came out when I made my stencil. The bits that fell out, these are the bits that I'm using to create our foliage for our flowers. So I'm going to pop a bit more on because I want a bit of an overlay. So we'll just put some between there, maybe some out there. And then the crowning glory will be the flowers. So we'll just pop that in there. They're different tones of green, so you can swap them out and rearrange them however you like, or arrange them however you like. So I think those two little ones, I'm just going to pop one there, and we have a nice background for our flowers. Now I've got two larger ones and two smaller ones, so I'm going to put the larger ones up here, and I've got foam tape on the back of those. So I'm going to put one there, or you could use hot glue if you want to, but I thought foam tape was quicker and cleaner, so I'm using foam tape. And one there, and then I've just got two more, and we're going to pop one up there and one on there. And you can see these little marks, but if you want, you could make something of them. If you think, oh golly, I've gone over that and made a right old mess with it, you know what? You could make something of these marks. You could just cover them up by painting on some little scallops. I won't go all the way around, but if I just do the top like that, you'll get the idea. So you could just paint around with your Sharpie pen just to cover up those marks, and then no one will know that you've made marks that you didn't want to make. So in crafting and in painting, if you know the how, if once you've learnt the tricks, you can cover up a multitude of sins. So I'm not going to go all the way around now, but I'll probably do that a bit later on. So there you are, that's how you cover up mistakes or bits that you didn't intend to be there. And that's how we use our watercolours to create a stenciled background for our flower card or whatever you want to make. So I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. And when you come back on Thursday, we'll be back to our regular watercolour tutorials. So please do come back and see what I get up to then. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Stay safe everybody, have fun, and as always, happy painting and happy crafting. Bye bye for now.